Oh, hey. Why, hello. Welcome to a crazy little workshop, a thought workshop. Gonna just have random discussions on stuff. Supernatural, paranormal, just weird stuff. Go at it at a different angle, different kind of process. Something different, maybe something new. But what is a ghost box? How does a ghost box work? What's speaking to us through a ghost box? These are awesome questions, and I really wish I had the answers. But we're going to look into just theories and thoughts that I have, that I've heard, and I'm just going to go into random, deep thoughts. But yeah, this is interesting. New idea. See where it goes. So let's have a listen and go into my mind. So a ghost box, the whole idea to be able to communicate with the dead is fascinating. Especially at the point we are. We still can't prove this stuff. What is it? Where's it come from? How's it work? There's a lot of common beliefs and a lot of thoughts. But whatever it is, the idea that these voices can somehow be picked up or registered through somehow radios and digital voice recorders and other odd devices. And people have come up with some really interesting, crazy ideas. And how did this all come to be? That's what we're not going to get into here. This is just more really out there, just thoughts, no hard facts, just ideas, different style. When these voices come through, it's very fascinating. What are these voices? How are they doing it? I know the common beliefs, I know the common thoughts. And it's fascinating that after all this time, we still have a hard time fully grasping this phenomena. And the ghost box is just something that has come out of this basically incomprehension of parts of our life. To me, that's why else would we still have, this day and age, so many that still believe in stuff others feel is silly. These aren't new stories either. These are ideas and thoughts that have been essentially bred into us for who knows how many thousands of years. And I just find it fascinating that these voices come through these boxes. You ask them questions, and from time to time, you get what feels like a response. It's different. You really need to have practice with it. And that's another, just there's so many thoughts and ideas and theories, and it's so wild and out there. I wanted to make this kind of presentation. Just talk with thoughts. And because there's just so many questions. The energies. What energies are these? How are these energies put in through the boxes? Are they actually entering the box to be able to manipulate? And then where does it go from there? Are there certain wires that they have to latch onto or send their energy through somehow? How are they, if they're doing all this, how are they sending that energy? Is that energy going through will or intent? Is it a form of emotion like anger or happiness? Is it just them touching it? What is it? We don't know. I don't know. I really wish I did. I find it fascinating. It's a giant puzzle with basically two pieces, and you know that there's 998 other pieces out there for you to find. And you're trying to put it all together. And batteries. So the common belief with the batteries is that these spirits, these energies are able to use that energy. So energy in general, the whole gathering of energy or use of energy is a common thread, and that ties into the ghost box thread. Because how it has to be a form of energy for them to be able to manipulate it. The reason why it seems like it, at least, is it seems that it has something to do with spectrums of our reality that we're unaware of, and not necessarily unaware of, but just can't see, can't feel, can't hear. But these are layers of reality that we are immersed in, but for whatever reason, Mother Nature chose for us to only have to really worry about certain other aspects of reality, and chose for other species and animals to utilize other aspects that we don't need. Somehow through their voices, there's an energy transfer, possibly. Maybe we should just label one theory at a time, maybe? You can't really label one theory at a time because each theory will just spawn other theories. You have to, I guess, make a few base theories and then make those kind of a pyramid shape and build off of each one, because each one really goes so deep. Because just the voice alone, how are they making voice? How is speech? They don't have vocal cords. They don't have larynx, lungs. So how does that even happen? I don't know. I honestly don't know. And that's what this crazy, weird festival of a discussion is about. And hopefully just spark ideas for other people, and have the section below for people to interact and come up with wild ideas. I thought it was a decent idea for a name. Thought workshop, maybe. Something along those lines. But a ghost box, essentially, is a telephone for you to speak with the dead. And it's a telephone for the patient, because you have to wait. There's no live connection. There's been others that have made older ghost boxes that seem to have more of that actual telephone style connection. But in modern time, nobody's kind of emulated the older, more real-time, longer conversation styles. That's fascinating. I need to look more into that, because it seems that they have a use for the actual radio frequencies. So when they're talking, perhaps they're latching on to a pre-existing word that is already flying through the air, and they're able to manipulate that sound, that phenome, the raw sound, possibly. There's so many ideas, so many thoughts. In theory, in working theory, you should be able to get a voice out of a ghost box without any sort of radio receiver as well. And there's a whole branch of theories onto that as well. This is a fascinating time to examine this weird field. We're really in some sort of Wild Western time. It does feel like it. The stuff we have right now is going to look so primitive in the future. It's fascinating. What about the person? What about the individual communicating? How much influence do they have or need? Do we even need a person? If you leave a ghost box on in the middle of the room, can you get results? It's interesting, because you can't have any sort of evidence for a ghost box per se, except random words that will just randomly spit out if you try that, because then you're not getting a positive answer to a question. So that adds the human component, which may impossibly and forever muddle the situation proof-wise. Perhaps we are the reason we cannot prove it, just because of the whole shenanigans tied into the human race in general. But to me, there definitely seems to be the need for the human to ask the questions. At least, how else were you going to tell? And when it gets into some of these more high-tech spirit boxes, there's a lot of stuff going on that you gotta kind of wonder too. The ideas, the theories of the energies with the metals, the different minerals that may be involved, it does make sense. At this point, you would think, with how many believe and how many are focusing on especially something like the ghost box, that we would have something more definitive and easier for us. That's really made me wonder that we aren't meant to fully understand this, or just cannot and will never understand this. It's just something that's above our way of comprehension, that our brain wasn't designed to understand. And perhaps that's what entering the spirit world is like, is freeing us from that prison that we can't quite escape in our mortal form and our awake form. Because it does seem that the energy fluctuates, comes and goes as the observer is interacting. Now, what would all these different observations still occur with somebody not in the room? I have not attempted this, and I really would like to try to attempt this more. And there's questions about white noise. Some feel the white noise is a must, some feel that it may inhibit. Because essentially we're working with real-time EVP, electronic voice phenomena, RT-EVP for short. And what about the will and the want of the person, the experimenter as well? If someone really wants this to occur, it may be easier for thoughts to actually be gathered through the device. Because I feel it's not a voice. I feel maybe that the voices are not necessarily voices, but the actual emotion or will or thought or intent of the individual that you're trying to communicate with. Perhaps there needs to be just that right want and need on both sides of the connection for it to be established momently, briefly. Because that is the real problem. The real problem is that we don't have a longer dialogue to get more answers, or really have a short window for stuff. So there's a whole line of thought to get into there. I mean, what if you only have a really short amount of time to get something through? Are you going to get through exactly what you're trying to get through? Are you going to try to get through one word that's perhaps a symbol, perhaps meant for symbolism, perhaps meant to explain more than just one single word? There's so much to this that we've barely scratched the surface, and I felt that this would kind of idea of a new style of stream for me. Just have a place to have my thoughts put out and expand, because there's just so much. There is so much. So I figured I need to create something out there, something where creativity and thought and consciousness, unconsciousness, things can collide and spark and create new ideas. Because you have each level, each layer of anything tied into this paranormal phenomena, you just really can go into so many more avenues or layers if you really want to, if you have a desire to check out what is really going on. The energy levels of the person. What sort of energy is in that person? What sort of emotion is in that experimenter that's trying to speak with the dead? Are they feeling anger? Are they feeling depression? Are they feeling happiness, joy? Do the energies feed off that? Does that make it easier for them to speak to us? It's possible. All these things are possible. Any and everything really is at this point. And I think the fact that you can peel back something as one just talking to a radio to this degree, into this depth, and you feel it deep down, that something, you're on to something, and you know it's more than just make-believe. And that's where I get kind of, even to this day, it may be holding me back in my growth throughout this, is that I have a hard time running with the herd. I always have. It's always been probably one of my biggest downfalls. And I can't classify that when we are utilizing a ghost box, that we are speaking to just a human ghost in general. Humans in general, they could be shadow people. With the classifications that we have attempted to come up with is probably just a corner of a giant pyramid of things. I mean, the ghost box you could be speaking with the shadow person, you could be speaking with a demon, you could be speaking with an angel, you could be speaking with interdimensional beings, you could be speaking with time travelers, you could be speaking with you in a parallel dimension. There's so many numerous other possibilities as well, and there's stuff that we haven't thought of, things that we have thought of. People 100 years ago would have never in their wildest dreams, the majority of them, except for possibly sci-fi writers, think of. And that goes every 100 years, 200 years, whatever, chop it up, you go back. Every time, every couple centuries, the world changes, the views change. What about planetary alignment? What about lunar cycles? What about humidity in the air, wind, precipitation? There's so many factors, so many different things around us that we are completely unaware of. We see animals that are able to sense parts of reality and Mother Nature in ways that we are completely unaware of. When they need to migrate, when the seasons are changing. These are the same kind of energies. I feel it's some sort of universal consciousness, maybe, theoretically. Remember, this is just a workshop. Anything and everything. This is just one random theory. I don't have the answers. I don't know the answers. I haven't claimed to know the answers. And even if I find a book that says the answers and I read it and I know they're the answers, I probably still won't claim to know. This stuff is just too out there, too beyond us at this point. Technology has brought us a step closer, and ghost boxes are bringing us a step closer there as well. It's gave us a way, one more way that we can possibly document the existence of this strange realm that's around us. I've wondered at times if they're documenting us in the same manner, if they have their ghost boxes, and that's possibly what the connection is when we speak with them as well, is we're actually connecting ghost boxes. So in a sense, a phone line, not which is some random person that somehow their energy is there, but they actually have in their reality a device that's meant to talk to something that they can't comprehend and that they think is their departed entity, spirit friends. Perhaps it's a simulation and the ghost box is a way that we're getting outside the simulation and we're talking with people that are actually the real people that are partaking in our simulation. See, and I've wondered what happens to the energy if their energy is needed to actually make the words happen. Are they stuck in the ghost box? Are they able to freely come and go? Do they need to even enter the ghost box? Are they even in the room when that stuff happens? This is going to be an interesting one because I'm going to be editing this and pushing all my words together, so as I'm recording this, there's large gaps in between different stuff because I'm just trying to just be really weird and go out there and just have random funky thoughts, and this is just the beginning. And my friend Dante will be your guide for my journey through my brain that you get to listen to. When one uses a ghost box, are they damned? Are they cursed? Are they going to hell? There's so many theories and thoughts. According to some religious scripture I've read, it does seem any form of divination is a way to get a ticket downtown. So I don't know. This is just the beginning. There's so many ideas, so many thoughts. Does a person need to be holding a ghost box? Does the person need to be having some sort of other element connected to their hand or the ghost box? Would it help to try to wrap your hand in aluminum foil or the ghost box? Or maybe your head while you're at it? And there's always been rumors. The fancy pants scientists will debate that it's completely untrue, but it's always been rumored that Edison himself was curious about a ghost box and may have been working on one and may have actually made one. It's essentially, even if you try to, in my eyes, be super scientific, you can strip away the idea of spirit, of ghosts. All you have to do is just call them spirits. Spirit energy is all encompassing. It could be elemental, it could be alien, it could be time travelers. It's all encompassing term. And I think with science that's the problem, is that they refuse to see that there's so many people in the world that feel there's this energy around us that we can interact with and that interacts with us. And I really think that it is detrimental to our culture and our species in general to not put scientific effort towards this. There could be some new form of health benefits, communication benefits, cosmic benefits, generational, mental. We don't really know, but there's something going on around us, and ghost boxes have allowed us to tap into that. Another key. We started off with digital voice recorders in general, just recording devices, sound recording devices, and now we've moved into this, and now the physical ghost box has moved into the digital era. I don't know the answers. I can't tell you what's right or wrong.